So maybe you're a videographer. Yeah, I'm gonna use the word videographer. You're the type of person that shows up to do a project or a job with your one camera, probably using autofocus, no real time to light, you're shooting in like a couple hours or so, and you're providing this service for a client. And then you're going to go home and you're going to put together the video for them or multiple deliverables for them, doing the editing work. And that's great. That's great when you're starting out. You get to make a little bit of money making social videos and start to get your hands on the camera and learn the settings and learn how to shoot. But then eventually one of these clients gets a little bit more money to make something more elevated than that. Something that you wanted to do since you got into this career. A more legitimate commercial with control over the image, with lighting. Maybe there's enough money for a crew, and they ask you to do it. And that's when the imposter syndrome kicks in. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. If you're new here, I'm Sakurai. I've been a cinematographer for the past 15 years, and I've shot for brands like Adidas, ESPN, T-Mobile, Google, and I've been there myself. When I first started, I shot a few weddings. I did some direct to client sort of things with my camera. And that's really where I got my feet wet. I was able to start making money with my camera. And I thought that was the coolest thing. No one's going to deny that that is super cool. But the reason I got into this was to make those really beautiful images that I saw in movies, that I saw on big budget commercials. So when I got asked really early in my career to make something like that, the nerves kicked in, right? The imposter syndrome started kicking in, You think about it, so you've been doing this, and you're probably not calling yourself a videographer. You probably have cinematographer in your Instagram bio. You probably have cinematographer on your website. Because ultimately, that's how you view yourself, and that's what you want to become. And so you're owning that. But the reality is if you're doing videographer style work, then you haven't really reached the territory of cinematographer yet. You're not working with crews, you're not using a lot of lighting, you're not really getting to design the image. And so when you finally get asked to do that, that's when those nerves will kick in, right? And maybe you've already been there before. And then you start to question everything. You're like, wait, am I a cinematographer? Am I good enough to do this? Do I know how to make these images and design them? And that's when you just need to take a break and pause for a second. And if you stop and think, you might start to realize that you're the one obsessed with this. This is the job that you signed up for. Right? You're the one that watches hours of YouTube content to learn. You're the one that takes your camera out on the weekend and tests things and practices how to make a good image. You're the one that's analyzing frames all the time from movies and commercials that you see. Your client's not doing that, right? You're the one that is the expert. Regardless if you have the experience, the 15 years experience that I do in the field, going through those reps, you're still the one that's thinking about it up here. You're still the one that is obsessing over it. And so you're like, oh, well, so then I know more than the client knows about doing this, right? And all imposter syndrome is going to do is going to slow you down. It's going to make you think that you don't, and then you're going to start second guessing yourself. You're not going to make quick decisions, hard decisions that could ultimately make a better image, right? You might start leaning on the client. Well, what do you want? What do you want to do, right? But if you can show up and be like, I'm the cinematographer. I'm the one that cares a lot about this. I'm the one that knows how to do this, and take ownership of that role, you'll start to feel a lot more confident in yourself. And the reality is, if this person trusts you enough with the other stuff you've been doing, and they ask you to do this job or this project, then that trust is already there. So what's the worst that can happen, right? They already assume that you can accomplish the job. So now it's just time for you to show up, to do the job that you've always wanted to do, to take this opportunity, to finally bring in the lighting, bring in the crew, really start to elevate those images, get some more time to make those images, right? What's so great about being a cinematographer over kind of the videographer style of shooting is you get time. Rather than 2 hours for the entire shoot, you might get an hour and a half to 2 hours just to light one setup. And that's when you really start to see your images become something that you're proud of. And then once you get a few of those images, that confidence is really going to grow. And then you're really going to be able to own that role as cinematographer. You're really going to start losing that imposter syndrome. And you're going to start feeling like the expert. But before that happens, you might think, wow, I'm not going to be able to make the perfect shot. And there's these idealistic expectations of what you need to make because the things you obsess over are so good. But meet yourself where you're at. Meet yourself where you're at in your career. Meet yourself where you're at with the client you're working with. Think about the reality of what you're trying to do. Maybe if they're finally giving you this opportunity, and you should seize that. Because otherwise, when are you going to get that opportunity again? You'll have to make your own work, make spec work, etc. So every time someone is willing to give you money to make an elevated image, you need to say yes to that. And you need to go forward and try to conquer that the best you can. There is no perfect image, right? There's only the best image that you can make where you're at in your journey. And I believe in trusting that process. Making those images, maybe they won't be as good as you have in your head, but at least you had the opportunity to make something better than you were making before. And honestly, this very thing happened to me early in my career. I had been doing it for a few years, doing different types of jobs, but then got some attention online and got asked to shoot a commercial for Adidas in London, to fly from the US to London and shoot for Adidas. And for sure, I was nervous. For sure, I was like, do I know what I'm doing? Can I pull this off? I'm working with this big production company now. We're working with these models. This is for Adidas. That's like a dream job. But of course, I said yes to the job. I flew over there and I did the best I could to get the job done. And I'm really happy and proud with those images. But if I would have let that imposter syndrome consume me and I would have said no to that job, I would have regretted that for the rest of my career. Any opportunity to practice with some money backing it is a good one. And so, the only way to become a cinematographer is by accepting the jobs that force you to be one, right? If you said no to that job, I'm not capable, and you bring someone else in, then you are not getting that opportunity to flex those muscles and be the cinematographer that you want to be. And just to add to it, your client had imposter syndrome once too. They were once at this stage of their career, and they were had some nerves and didn't feel confident about what they were doing. But then eventually, over time, that didn't matter anymore. They owned the role, and now they're hiring you to do something. Now they're hiring you to shoot a project. And eventually, you'll be in the same position. But you have to go through this process to get there. And this is what my coaching program is about. It's for the videographer looking to transition to become a cinematographer. It's essentially a 90-day path to reposition yourself, to move you out of doing those one-person videographer type jobs and really going into the role of a cinematographer working with crew. Now, this is all inside my school community. It's free to join the school community, to hang out with me and chat with me and the other cinematographers that are in there. But if you want more than that, you can join the premium tier, which gives you instant access to my almost 3-hour cinematography course. And then it gives you access to the 90-day coaching program, where we'll go through the process together of actually transitioning you out of that videographer role into the cinematographer role. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can just sign up at the link in my description below. But that's it for me in this video. As always, guys, until next time, I'm Such a Sakurai. Peace.